Welcome to TheGaGG.com. I'm Luke Stevens, your gun and gear guy. Today we're reviewing the Aero Precision Lightweight Scope Mount. Now this won't be a long review, we'll run through it pretty quick, but we wanted to review these scope mounts. Some people think scope mounts are boring. Personally, I think scope mounts can make or break a gun and a build. Let's get started. As I said, this is the Aero Precision Lightweight Scope Mount. This scope mount is an all aluminum unibody scope. The rings are integrated to the mount and they're all one piece. Now, Aero Precision has done a great job of coming out with multiple colors. We have the black here on this gun. We have the OD green here. It was able to let me build my OD green gun. We have the flat dark earth here. I've actually seen some of their other colors. They're not their general colors, but they have come out in a few other colors here and there. As always, we like to give you the good and the bad and the ugly. So let's get to it. The good, they're all aluminum. Some people hate aluminum, but if you're building a lightweight gun like I was trying to do with this one, you don't want that extra quarter to half a pound just because you got a scope mount on there that's all steel. And quite frankly, always remember, these tubes on most of these scopes are aluminum, so actually you're mating aluminum to aluminum here, as well as the upper receivers. So hey, it's all aluminum. The other good to this is that the actual screws that hold the mount around the scope tube are on the side. They're, if you were on my side, you'd see them right here, but they're on this side. And the scope mount actually cantilevers around and screws in. The net result of that is, unlike a lot of the scope mounts that are top or side where you have two screws, as you're tightening these screws down, you don't get as much tension on that tube so that it's torquing it or turning it off where, so that the reticle ends up off center or not straight and parallel with your frame of your gun. So we think that's a good thing. Now, they're not perfect. I have tightened them sometimes really fast and I've ended up with my reticle a little off, but it's nowhere near what the other ones are. And if you just take an extra moment, tighten them down gently and until you get them all snug and then tighten them up, you're pretty much good to go. A lot of scope mounts, you got to add that secret mojo of, you know, this one, that one, this one, that one. You don't with this one. Another good is the color diversity. It's hard to find scope mounts if you want to build green guns or flat dark earth guns that most of them come in black and that's it. In this case, you've got something that you have a little bit of diversity of color. So let's talk about the bad. The bad on these scope mounts is that you have aluminum screws and an aluminum body. And what I've generally found are two things. One, it's a very low torque force. I think it's either 15 or 18 pounds that you torque these down to. And that's just a little bit uncomfortable for me. I generally like my scope mount screws nice and snug around 20-ish, maybe 25 pounds. I have seen some that require actually a lot more than that, but generally somewhere around 20. That 15 to 18 is a little bit low torque for me on that, and I'm worried about that they may work their way out. Hadn't had it happen yet, but neither of these guns that I've had them on have had a whole lot of rounds down range. They've had a couple of hundred, but you know, we hadn't gotten to that couple of thousand range. In addition, it's very easy to strip these screws out since they're a low torque screw. So be careful when you put them in and make sure that you meet that. You have a good torque wrench, you turn it down to where it's supposed to, and you don't over torque them because you will strip them out. Yes, I'm speaking from experience here. I did one by accident. The nice thing is Aero Precision gives you a little tool that's supposed to help you prevent that. For my big hands, that tool's a little bit small. I didn't like it, so I had, of course, use my own torque wrench. Now let's get to the ugly. There is an ugly with this scope mount. I hate to say it because I love Aero Precision. I've used a lot of their products. And in this case, with this scope mount, there's a little bit of an ugly. It requires 3 screws on the mounting part to your Picatinny rail. The 3 screws force you to do one of two things, to either mount this mount back where you see mine here, or to actually cross the mount onto the handguard and the receiver, which I've never found ends up a good thing. If this loosens up, it starts torquing on your scope and knocks it off balance. This heats up more than this, so you get, differences in heating rates, which can torque your scope mount and torque your scope. Not the greatest thing in the world, but due to the fact that it has the 3 screws, unlike 2 screws, and I think this is because of the low torque issue, you'll notice if you look at these 2 scopes, this is a 1-to-4, it's a little bit shorter tube. You can see this tube is about 1/2 to 3/4 inch longer here. It comes up flush right here with my charging handle, which is about where I like to have my scopes end up. It's a good eye picture for me, and most people kind of recommend that. If you look at this one, you're almost a full finger width behind that charging handle, and that actually forces me to take a different sight picture when I mount this gun versus this gun, which I don't like having to do. So given that, I do find that the 3 screw configuration, which again I think is related to the all aluminum low torque screws, creates a little bit of an issue. If you move beyond these tactical size scopes and try to mount them with this lightweight scope mount, you may end up with a scope that's really sticking way behind your charging handle here. I just don't like that. I'm not comfortable with that. Given my size and everything, it makes me have to mount the gun really far back. So just a warning, and that's my only bad that I have with this. Overall, we've liked Aero Precision for other products. We found that their quality is very consistent. We've got 3 of these scope mounts. We've had good luck with them. They've shot very well on the guns that we've mounted on. We generally recommend them with that caveat of keeping your scope to a tactical size scope and being careful. If you get to the 1 to 6 range scope, you're probably going to end up having to mount it a little bit far back. I'm Luke Stevens, and this is TheGaGG.com.